this was my first thought when they created Doge in the first place. Like, what? It's ridiculous. But if you're not going to go after the Pentagon, I don't understand what the point is of doing anything else.
Exactly.
And it's obviously a charade.
You know, there's something else that bothers me very much. Oh, I'm sorry to interrupt you.
John,
just one quick point. Forbes magazine released last week its list of the wealthiest people in the world, and Elon Musk is worth $446 billion, $500 billion. I don't care how hard a person works, you can't be worth $446 billion. And I'm wondering why there hasn't been a movement to oppose the laser focus of wealth into the hands of so few people. I mean, you know, people, we read in our history books about John D. Rockefeller the first, right? The first American robber baron. But his wealth couldn't even approach what Elon Musk's wealth is now. And he's doing it on the backs of the American people. He has these clear conflicts of interest where he's making money from his Pentagon contracts and from his CIA contracts. And nobody's saying anything. And then today, the Washington Post withdrew approval for a full-page ad complaining about Elon Musk's wealth and his conflicts of interest.
Well, you don't think that Jeff and Elon aren't going to be on the same team?
Right, exactly.
Right.
Exactly. Yeah. Like, when does this become a point of no return?
We're there.
There's this craziness that Trump tweeted.
Well,
today.
listen, he who saves his country does not violate any law. I make the laws now.
God, that sounds just like him. Oh my God. That sounds just like him.
The scariest part is that you've got almost a million, three-quarters of a million people that like the tweet, that think it's acceptable. And in the grand scheme of things, it's not that many. I mean, he had, how many votes did he have? 80 million or something like that.
It was a lot.
Right. You know, we get caught up in this idea that everybody who supports MAGA is this, blind, loyalist, crazy person who's, going to be following him, no different than any cult leader has ever been seen before. But we've really reached a point of no return in that this system can't be resuscitated. It's not possible. You can't look at somebody who's got $400 billion and think that person's going to solve the actual problem. No, Musk will deal with certain aspects of the broken system that we have, but it's more about his own selfish intentions in terms of what he wants.
Well,
but in terms of
what's he going to do to them? I think his goal is to be the first trillionaire. And I think that's what he's trying to do.
Yeah, I think so too. Yes.
But when you make a statement like, everyone is all up in arms about this statement of he who saves the country does not violate any law. But you did have President Nixon once say, when the president does it, it's not illegal.
It's not illegal.
So the precedent has been set generations before, and everyone thinks that Trump is this crazy madman who just comes up with all this shit. The only thing he does is he's smarter than people give him credit for. He just applies different elements of past discretions that this country has been getting away with for generations and just saying, well, I'm totally going to do it and you can't stop me. And he's like, well, you want to stop him because you don't like the fact that he doesn't protect empire. That's the reason why people hate his guts, because it's all out in the open now. The Biden crime family, the Clinton crime family, so much of that activity. I've heard your commentary before about Hillary Clinton. Part of the reason she was able to get away with so much stuff for so long is because she's really good at keeping things behind the scenes. Trump, on the other hand, doesn't give a fuck.
No, he doesn't. He doesn't. It's unusual to have a person who genuinely doesn't care. And he doesn't care.
Mm-hmm. No. I don't think he's capable.
I also get a little bit tired of the pearl clutching. Not that everything that's happening isn't terrible, but come on, we all want to pretend this is the first time a president has disregarded the law.
Right.
I think it's not legal to just assassinate whoever you want by drone overseas. Trump also is, he's sort of an avatar for this thing that we all knew it was going to happen, which is that your actions overseas are going to come home, right? Your foreign policy is going to come home. All these chickens are going to come home. We thought it was super cool when, it was Obama's drone program, right? And it was saving the country doing illegal things out there. And now, so again, he's just saying it out loud. I feel like it's easy to like wander down this path where everything is entirely equivalent. And I don't want to do that. But again, it's just the people right now who are panicking and saying like, I'm mourning for the loss of my democracy. I don't want to be a party pooper, but I just keep thinking, well, what democracy, right? Like, what point are you hoping to go back to when everything was okay, right? And maybe, again, as you said, Jen, like maybe the thing to do is think of what can be built after this destruction, because this destruction was going to have to come in some form.
That's how we have to think.
I wouldn't have chosen this form, but everybody was in the street saying, burn it all down. Well, what did you think that was going to look like?
Yeah.
Right. And again, I wouldn't choose this. And there were other ways it could have happened, but this is how it is happening. So let's not like delude ourselves into thinking that if we just go back to the Biden years or the Clinton years or the Obama years, that everything would be perfect.
Yeah, that is misnomer.
No, I just think when people are like shocked, I feel like my first sentiment is welcome to the party, man.
Yeah.
Welcome to the party. This has been going on forever. They think Trump is the problem. He's a symptom of our disease. Actually, and I've said it before, I can't think of anyone to better represent this country as what we've become than Donald Trump. I think he represents us perfectly in the world. We are the biggest bullies. We don't know what we're talking about. Everyone doesn't like us. Like he is us.
Mm-hmm. And if you don't like to see it, cool, me neither. Then let's change it. But like something has to actually change in our culture, in our economic structure, in our politics, and we have to do it, deliberately and collectively.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the problem, because if in fact they are going to audit the Pentagon and they're going to claim that that's what they're doing, the reality, in my opinion, I could be wrong, but in reality, what they're going to do is they're going to do exactly what every austerity hawk that supports the billionaire class has always done. They're going to fire a few thousand employees at the Pentagon, and they're going to say that they cut back on, tens of millions, if not hundreds of millions of dollars, and say, see, we made a difference. Pennies on the dollar, but we're going to say we made a difference, and there are people who will eat it up. If you are not, again, as somebody who worked for the highest alphabet agency in the United States, if you are not going after the contracts, like the ones that I know for a fact, one in particular that was shelled out to a guy that I knew that was a lieutenant in the Army, who knew a guy that got a contract for $25 million to build a gas station in Baghdad. How much did he spend on that gas station? Actually built it? $500,000. The rest of it, he pocketed them.
My God.
It's the biggest scam running. Raytheon, Boeing, Lockheed Martin, General Dynamics. Yes, they are, the war machine, but don't think for a second that it all gets spent on bombs. It doesn't. It's a way to get rich. And it's been that way for generations. And if you think that they're just going to give it up without a fight, people get killed for trying to F with the military-industrial complex.
I say all the time, it's not an accident that the Washington, D.C. area has the most millionaires per capita of anywhere in America. More than New York, more than Silicon Valley, more than L.A. It's here in Washington. And since the September 11th attacks, we have transitioned into a permanent wartime economy. And one thing that a lot of people don't understand is that we don't just, send money to foreign countries. Here's some money so you can buy things to defend yourselves. It's all in kind. It goes directly from the government to the U.S. defense contractors and the subcontractors and subcontractors, so everybody gets rich. Mm-hmm. And then those overpriced weapons and systems go overseas. But the money stays right here. And none of us are a part of it.
Colin, can you grab that?
None of us here are a part of it.
That's
Colin,
what I mean.
Can you grab that tweet from Musk, please? You pull that one up. So Elon decided to put out a very pointed message regarding whether or not we have a broken social security system.
Yeah.
And
good question.
this is where it starts. Now, do I think that it's possible that this is legitimate? Yeah, it's certainly possible. I'm not saying that it's not. But in accordance with what Musk is putting out there, he is suggesting that there is X amount of people that fall into certain brackets regarding age and demos and so forth, and those that are actually eligible to receive Social Security, which starts at 65.
Right.
And if you scroll down, what you'll see is that evidently there are people who are living into their 150s, according to now, knowing what you know, John, is it possible that there is hundreds of billions of dollars in waste in the Social Security the trust system that's going on? Is that possible?
Michelle, did I hear the explanation for this from you, or did I hear it from somebody else?
It wasn't me.
It's that what I heard yesterday was that the programmers, when they're putting in information, sometimes don't have at hand the birth dates of the people whose paperwork they're processing. That paperwork is pending, and so they'll just make up a date and put it in there as a placeholder. And that's what most of these are, because nobody's 100. Maybe there are one or two people that are 110 in America, but beyond that, these are just they're placeholder dates. I don't know. I hope to God that if it's true that this is waste, they can address it immediately, then turn their full attention to the Pentagon, which should be at least cut in half.
Yeah, it's like maybe if this is true I'm sure there is Social Security fraud happening. Like, absolutely.
Yeah, there always is. There always has.
Of course there is. There's like no system. There's no point in trying to make a system that's so mean and tight-fisted that it can't be rigged, right? Or that it can't be conned, right? There's no point to that. Then you just design an incredibly cruel society where there's no sort of trust and generosity. So yeah, there's definitely Social Security fraud going on. I don't think it's like pennies when it comes to government waste.
In the grand scheme of things, it is pennies, because we still, if we're not talking about modern monetary theory, we are still looking at the overarching problem with the Social Security Trust Fund, and that is it's capped. There is only a percentage of income that gets taxed to a point, and then it gets cut off. And what percentage is that? It's like $120,000 a year. The rich don't pay anything, literally nothing, into the Social Security Trust Fund. And I can still remember Mr. Jackass himself, Bill O'Reilly, complaining about the fact that, oh, you want to tax my money? You're not taxing anything. And there's such rich envy in this country. I really don't understand what that's all about. This idea, it's one thing to be inspired by people that have succeeded, that have created wealth, that have done things to make society better. It's another thing entirely to think that they're benevolent people, that they're perfect and that they do nothing wrong. That I don't understand that mindset. It's really confusing to me.
No.
Yeah, I have to agree.
Yeah.
So
especially someone like Musk, who, like, honestly, didn't he mostly make his money just by cleverly manipulating stock prices and California's subsidies for electric cars?
Yes, and in fact,
cool. You can make a case maybe that SpaceX is doing stuff that's cool, but NASA would have been doing this probably if they hadn't decided to just privatize the whole process anyway, a couple of decades ago. Yeah. So again, like, look at the Tesla of our time, as I know someone referred to, or the Thomas Edison of our time. Yeah.
Not even. He's a douche canoe. He's a douche canoe that was given money, started with money, and buys other people's businesses. He's not that bright. He's not like Steve Jobs or Bill Gates or someone who really created anything. He just buys things. That's not the same contribution.
That's exactly right.